how do I bring this up?
Yes, I love
The
garlic.
beef was squashed.
I'm Sicilian.
The beef was squashed between Sam Shamoon and you guys. Apparently, he made a whole stream about it. JP Uncut has reacted to it. It's a thing. I'm seeing other people react to it. I was not there, so I don't know what happened. All I heard was his recollection of events. Would you guys care to
Here's
speak
what
into
I'm
it?
going to say. I'll just make this the response kind of for the group, even if I'm not.
I'll say something.
Oh, okay, David. Okay.
If you have spent any amount of time within Christian apologetics on the YouTube platform, you know that there are beefs that have taken place. One notably was between Sam Shamoon and Anthony Rogers. Sam Shamoon and Anthony Rogers, who were best of buds years and years ago, have now became more distant due to the different theological positions that each of them hold to. But there was something more under the surface there, as far as there was more personal aspects to it. If you viewed any of Sam Shamoon videos where Anthony Rogers was a subject, you'll see certain personal barks at Anthony Rogers, and so there was this sort of contention there between Anthony Rogers and Sam Shamoon. But most recently, Sam Shamoon, Anthony Rogers, David Wood, Vocab Malone, Ruslan, Mike Winger, and a host of others attended the Evangelical Conference. And in this conference, unbeknownst to Anthony Rogers and David Wood, Sam Shamoon showed up. And so apparently the beef was squashed at this Evangelical Conference. They hugged it out, and now the personal beef is over. But what I want to go over was this video that Ruslan put out, and it's where Anthony Rogers and David Wood actually discuss this so-called beef, if there was even a beef from the get-go. And so with that said, let's look at it, let's check it out, and then I'll comment on it as needed.
I see your face.
Okay, you guys can dance around it, but we got to address the elephant in the room.
David can't dance. That's the problem.
David can't dance. All right.
He's got two left feet.
How do I bring this up?
Yes, I love
The
garlic.
beef was squashed.
I'm Sicilian.
The beef was squashed between Sam Shamoon and you guys. Apparently, he made a whole stream about it. JP Uncut has reacted to it. It's a thing. I'm seeing other people react to it. I was not there, so I don't know what happened. All I heard was his recollection of events. Would you guys care to speak
Here's what
into
I'm
it?
going to say. I'll just make this the response kind of for the group, even if I'm not.
I'll say something.
Oh, okay, David. Okay. So for me, my natural bent is if I'm somebody.
Can I point out Vocab Malone in the back there? Vocab Malone looks super comfortable. He looks healthy back there. Vocab, if you watch this, man, you look a little too healthy back there, buddy. You look a little too healthy, man.
His friend, I'm always their friend. It may not mean that we have all sorts of interaction and so forth, but that person could, in principle, call on me at any point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true no matter what they've called me. And it just, there's a couple of things that feed into it. I think, it has something to do with my own family background. I'm Sicilian. Loyalty is a big deal. But also as a Christian, I just think, Jesus is the epitome. He loved us when we didn't love him. He died for us. Again, that doesn't dictate necessarily by itself every aspect of the relationship that we're going to have and what we'll do together or not do together. But that just means in principle, I hope for any person who is my friend, I hope for their good, no matter what's true.
Amen.
They can call me whatever they want. I'm going to sleep like a baby, first of all. And so some people have said to me, why don't you forgive him for this, that, or the other thing? And I'm thinking, you guys don't even understand me. You have no understanding of what's going on here. That has never meant anything to me. He could say whatever he wants. So as far as that goes, he had some change in his theological positions, and he could have changed those as the day is long, and that would have always been the case, that I'm fundamentally, in my thoughts towards him, a friend. I wouldn't agree with him, and I tell him I don't agree with him, and he knows that. In fact, even during the whole beef, he'd say he expects me to say this. So anyways, it's sort of hard to get all this out there in this little setting. But the point is, when he sees me and he wants to squash the beef, it's the easiest thing in the world for me to, as far as the personal thing,
He said he saw love in your eyes.
yeah, and that's absolutely true. That's who I am, and that's who I am as a Christian. Anyways, I need to be quick, I know. So as far as that goes, that's settled. It doesn't mean that there's a change in my thoughts towards his newly adopted positions. and he said it, I believe. I didn't get to see the whole thing yet because I'm still out here and haven't had free time. He had said we're on different sides of the theological aisle, and my thing is this. This is my last point. My ability to put my head on the pillow at night in peace before a holy God, knowing the sinfulness of my life and so forth, it rests wholly and entirely on my confidence that Christ alone died to save me, and through faith gives me his righteousness. So I can't just overlook what I consider to be a denial of that, especially if I think he's somebody that's my friend that I love. I want him to know that and believe that.
Yeah. Beef squash.
All right. So that was Anthony Rogers' take on the quote unquote beef. And my thoughts on Anthony Rogers' take on the beef was what I expected, especially considering that I watched Anthony Rogers' recent stream where he actually discussed his side of the concern with the quote unquote beef with Sam Shamoun and how it's squashed now. As you can see from Anthony Rogers' perspective, it's completely over, especially the personal side. And the remaining contention is the theological beef. Obviously, I agree with Anthony Rogers about Roman Catholicism, that it is anti-gospel. It's not in line with the gospel. And so that's where the beef, if there is a beef, that's where it lies, right? The personal contention that was there, any appetite or any type of beef that was there personally is now gone. And they now can move forward and sort of maybe perhaps rekindle that friendship that they had, and where they did a whole bunch together. I remember Anthony Rogers in his stream, he was discussing how him and Sam Shamoun used to write articles together for Answering Islam. Sam would give articles to Anthony Rogers to proofread and to see if it was right. And then Anthony Rogers would also reciprocate that same attention to Sam Shamoun by giving him articles so Sam could proofread and stuff like that. Like, they did a lot of things together. And he's known Sam Shamoun for years. So perhaps they can still work in some capacity in those type of areas together. Obviously the theological difference is there now, which it wasn't in the past, but now it is. So that may create some tension there. But nonetheless, at the very least, the personal beef is gone. So we shouldn't expect to hear any personal shots any longer. Where the theological discussions still happen, sure. Where those things still will those things still be discussed? Sure, they will. But that's where it should be at, right? When we're talking about theology, when we're having these different issues, when we're diving into these things, that's where there should be laid. Deal with the theology, right? But it was unfortunate when this beef was going on that they began to sort of chirp at each other. It was probably more one-sided than the other side as far as the attacks. But nonetheless, it was definitely a beef. And I'm so glad that from a personal aspect, the beef is over. But this is an interesting part too. David Wood actually had, I guess, a little contention with him. But the way David Wood explains it is a bit different than what you may think. So let's see what David Wood says.
I wouldn't even call it beef as far as I'm concerned. With me, I don't work with the vast majority of people in the world, and I don't think I have to work with most people. I tend to work with people that are aligned in a certain way. Me and AP, that's the guy I work with most now. We have very similar approaches. We work well together. Like me, as we were just talking about, I would have a more aggressive approach than a lot of Christians. So if other Christians are like, hey, that's too aggressive, great, you do not need to work for me. There are a variety of different ways to do things. So at the end of the day, I just realized over time, I don't want to work with some people. Our ways of doing things are not going to align. And for some reason, fans of that person, I'm not just talking about Sam in particular, it's like they're people who are obsessed, who whatever person you have that you like, it's, oh, everyone else has to work with this. Is no, don't do that. Don't do that with me. Don't run around and tell, these like ministries, hey, you have to get David Wood there if they don't like the way I do things. There's no need to do that. It's a big world. And so, yeah, I'm going to work with people that I like working with. And other than that, it's not like I'm sitting around going, I can't believe this person didn't invite me to this conference. I was like, what? I understand completely that person didn't invite me to that conference if they have a different way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wish people would be fine with, oh, this person does things this way, let him do that. This person does things this way, let him do that. They do not need to work together if they're not going to work well together.
Got it. So for you, it's as simple as
I don't think of it. I'm not thinking.
you're not even thinking about it.
Until it's thrown in my face. I'm not thinking about it. I'm focused on stuff I got to do.
Did you hug Sam back?
Oh, he kind of came up and I'm not a. To be fair, I'm not really a hugger at all, but he came up and hugged me while I was kind of just standing there.
When I went to the airport to meet David, we were coming from 2 different areas, and I saw him. I didn't even try to hug. I'm not overly hugger either, but I already know David's not, right? So I didn't even shake his hand. We kind of gave each other the look. And
I can force myself, but I'm not always going to force myself to hug somebody. You know?
Don't force yourself.
And understand, like, David is somebody that's been as good to me as anybody I can think of in the world.
And you guys
right?
don't hug.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I will do the kind of, sometimes, but
the hip hop hug. Yeah.
The
Okay.
hip-hop hug.
Mike Wing.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. So as you guys can see, there is not much beef as far as David Wood's side of the things. The way he explained it was that it really wasn't any beef like that. He just preferred not to work with Sam Shamoun anymore. Now, the details of what exactly what transpired for him to decide that, hey, their way of doing things doesn't align anymore, I'll leave that to David for him to explain. But I don't want to sort of imply anything or try to inference anything that just simply isn't there. But we can definitely see that where David is at, David is not necessarily having some crazy beef with Sam Shamoun, or that he doesn't even see that there is really a beef or anything like that in that capacity. But he just simply, they departed ways of working with each other, and that's fine, right? If you have a partner and you begin to see things, or he or she begin to do things that don't align with the way you do things, then maybe it is best for you guys to depart and sort of work separate at that point, and that's usually that's probably the best way to do things, because you stay together, you work together, and then chaos erupts because the tension or the contention's never settled. So perhaps that was the best way for David to depart from the situation that could have got greater and bigger. And so big ups to David, big ups to Anthony, and I appreciate them sharing this quote unquote beef that they have with Sam Shamoun. It gives a lot of clarity, right? A lot of people have been wanting to know the details of what happened, or what caused it, where it's currently at. Are you guys still fighting and arguing? And so I'm happy that they were able to give details, because a lot of times we try to jump on a story too fast, right? And we hear one side of the story and we don't get the full story of what's happening. And so I'm very happy that I was able to listen to Anthony Rogers and his stream when he went into more detail about the relationship with Sam, and how the interaction with at the Evangelical Conference. I'm glad that David Wood was able to spill the beans a little bit about his contention or his concerns or anything like that, if there is concerns. And so we're not getting secondhand sources, if you will, of the contention or the beef. We're actually hearing from Sam Shamoun. We're hearing from Anthony Rogers. We're hearing from David Wood. And I did watch Sam Shamoun's video as well about his side of things, how things went to Evangelical Conference, and how David Wood, and now we get to hear David Wood and Anthony Rogers' side of the thing. So all in all, I am happy that the personal beefs are over. But obviously there still remains the theological differences, and that's just something we're going to have to deal with. That's something we're going to just have to deal with and tolerate, because all of us have our theological positions. And so in that, it is what it is, right? And so we could talk about those things, right? But even in our discussions of theology, it doesn't mean we have to get personal. We can keep those conversations within the theological realm and still maintain our friendships that we have with people. So let this be a lesson to many that things don't have to get personal, right? Things don't have to get personal. Let's maintain our relationships while also being able to discuss things we disagree with in a matter that glows with harmony, that glows with decorum, and that glows with love, right? Let's keep doing that. With all that said, that's all I have for this video, and I thank you for watching. If you've yet to do so, make sure you subscribe to The Gospel Truth so you can stay in the loop with the Gospel Truth that's going on. May God bless you, and may God keep you.